This video is for anybody thinking about building a motorized bike with this particular bike frame, or this particular beach cruiser. It is a pretty cheap one. At the time, it was probably the cheapest one that I could find on Walmart.com. It's a Roadmaster Freebird. And there's another bike that's identical to this one, but it's marketed under a different name, and that bike is a Kulana Haiku, and essentially it's the exact same bike without the rear rack. And that's one thing that I liked about this particular one, was that it had the rack, and originally it did come with fenders. It had a front fender and a rear fender. It also had a chain guard, but I chose to remove those for my own reasons. Well, the fenders I removed basically because I didn't want them on there, but the chain guard I removed for a specific reason regarding the motor and the mounting of the motor. But basically what I wanted to do was just kind of go over this particular bike and explain some of the problems I had with the installation of the motor, and then I also want to kind of go into and just show you everything that I've done to it additionally. First off, let's start with mounting the engine. So one problem I had with mounting the engine after it was all together was the muffler, and I had trouble with pedal clearance. I can't really move it right now because I only got one hand, but this was kind of over in this area, way over, and the pedal was directly running into it. There's no possible way to pedal, so what I had to do to modify that was, obviously you can see where the paint's missing here, I had to heat it up. I used just a regular blowtorch tip with MAP gas. It burns a little hotter, so I was able to bend it out of the way. I plan on repainting it. That's one problem. I guess you wouldn't call it a problem per se, is obviously this down tube is a lot bigger than what the regular motor mount is meant for. So I had to use the oversized mounting clip that was provided in the kit, which even that, you can see the bolts under here. Those were actually a lot longer, and they were hitting the motor. So I had to kind of chop them off, make them a little shorter. And I also had to mount it in this kind of under on the back side here, rather than facing the plate towards the front, for geometry reasons. When it faced towards the front, it wasn't making contact, so I had to reverse it and kind of bolt it, on the back side there. It did work out fine, and the motor is, it's really solid. It's all Loctited and lock nutted. But that was kind of a thing I knew I'd have to do with the larger diameter tube, because this is like an 1 3/4 inch diameter tube. That was one thing I knew I'd have to do, but thought I'd mention it. The first problem I ran into, obviously, was when I first mounted it. Was, you see here, there was a chain guard mounted on this chain, and I had to remove that one because the motor actually sits low enough here that it was hitting the chain guard and it wouldn't rest flat on the tube. So I didn't really want to raise the motor any higher with an additional spacer in there. I wanted it to sit as low as possible. In my opinion, it's better. The lower you can get them, the better. So I did have to take off the the chain guard, and I kind of would have liked to kept that, but it's not that big a deal because you're not pedaling a whole lot. But yeah, that was another problem, I guess you could say. What else did I have problems with? Oh yeah, this is one, and this was, this is your CDI, and this, I don't know if you can see too well, is actually meant for, I think, a max size of an 1.5-inch tube, because when I put the bolts in, they would not even go through on either side of the frame because the actual tube was too wide. I mean, the bolts would just hit it. You know, it wouldn't work. So rather than mounting it, you know, under here with the bolts, or, you know, it's pretty much the only thing you could have done, you know, with the occluded mounting plate. What I did to fix that was I just ran a zip tie, you know, through the original mounting holes and then just zip tied it, and it's perfectly fine like that. That's pretty much the only problems I've had as far as, you know, building this and putting it all together. I mean, the top tube is 1.5 inches, so the gas tank was perfectly fine mounting to that. No other really problems, and like I said, the fenders are gone. You know, I may decide to try and put them back on one day, but I don't really plan on riding it too much in the weather, so I kind of like them off anyways. And now I guess I can go into some of the things that I've added to my engine and to the bike, you know, that I've added to make it maybe a little safer or run a little better. You know, since I've got this, I've only put 6 miles. You know, I haven't hardly rode it since I've got the speedometer. But yeah, that was kind of a new investment, you know, so I could actually realize how fast I was going. The main two things that I bought are the rear sprocket adapter and the chain tensioner, and these two parts are awesome. And also with this bike, if you plan on maybe using this bike or the Kulana Haiku, you know, the cheap beach cruisers, the rear hub is a 1.5 inch, so if you get a rear hub adapter from wherever you choose to get it, just make sure it's made for a 1.5 inch hub. You know, I got mine off eBay through Gas Bike, and pretty good, not too bad over there. The chain tensioner I got off eBay too. That's from a seller on there. I've got another video, you know, just about these two parts and how, you know, awesome they work together, which they really do. They give you a peace of mind. You ain't got to worry about your chain tensioner flying into your spokes and killing you or anything like that. You know, it works excellent. I would definitely recommend these to anybody. My motor, I've, you know, replaced the fuel line and got some Tygon fuel line, and I've got the little 3/8 clips. You know, the HP carburetor with the filter that I had to bend to get on here. NGK spark plug, the B6HS, and that's pretty much the only modifications that I've done to the engine or the, you know, the aftermarket parts. But man, when you're riding this thing, it's pretty rough, you know. It'd be awesome if you could have some suspension on here, but it's pure hardtail. It'll give you a rough ride, but it goes down the road, you know. That's what it's for. But yeah, this bike, the Roadmaster Freebird, or the Huffy, or not the Huffy, sorry, the Kulana Haiku, the same exact bike. You know, if you plan on building one out of this frame, you know, those are a few things you could watch out for, is, you know, the problems that I mentioned with installing the engine. And other than that, you know, it's becoming a better bike. You know, I'm still breaking it in, and it's starting to run pretty decent. And, you know, I really like it. The sitting position is upright. You know, the handlebars on this are actually pretty high. I think they got like a 5-inch rise on the handlebars, and then, you know, the stem is also, you know, halfway taller. I've still got about 1.5 or 2 inches inside the tube. You know, I didn't want to bring it out too far. It's just not safe on, you know, any bike, not only motorized bikes. But yeah, and then also, you know, like on my other video, I showed how you could use the stock throttle cable that came with your kit to mount into your HP carburetor. You know, you just use this adapter here off of your NT carburetor, your hose inlet, and you put the one off your NT carb into your HP carb, and then you can use your stock cable. Works pretty good. But yep, that's about it. You know, there's a couple things I'm planning on doing to the bike. I recently ordered a wider crank set. That was off Gas Bike as well. It basically widens the space between your pedals. You know, it'll bring your regular pedal, what it does is it comes out over and then your pedal here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I plan on putting a pull start on this, and the pull start sticks out about 2.5 inches, so I need extra clearance to put it on there. But I might make a video of that when I get that all assembled and mounted up. You know, I think it'll be excellent with a pull start. I mean, I don't mind pedaling it to start it, but if I can just fire it up without having to pedal down the road, I think it'd be even better. So I think that's about all I can think of as far as, you know, any other advice or problems or anything that I've had with this particular bike and the mounting process of the engine. It works pretty well, you know, and that's about it. Thanks for watching.